I'm like sipping coffee.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm water.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Liverpool Perspective. I'm with Dylan, and I'm also with a special guest, a Chelsea fan, for the Carabao Cup Final, Chris.
Up the Blues.
So, yeah, there's been a bit of stuff going on this past week. Since we last did the episode, we beat Inter. We beat, not very convincing, to be honest, the Inter game. I'm not sure if you saw it, Chris, but we weren't very good. But we found a way.
I watched bits of it, and you seemed very. You couldn't quite get control of the game, but you still had convincing enough of a win that it wasn't like a disaster. Like you're not going to really overthink it. It's just going to move on to the next one.
That's kind of what Inti.
Yeah, we had you know Inti, right? Yeah, from pickup. We were talking about the game. I thought we would dominate. Dominant possession. I was very naive to think of that because Inter had we guessed everything else right in the game. Like it was we knew that their wing backs would be their biggest threat. Dumfries and Perisic, they're their Inter's outlets, and that's what happened. Like Inter really tactically, it was a really good tactical game. Like both teams were playing. I thought both teams actually. I would say we didn't play that well. I think both teams played pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I think both teams nullified each other with their press and with the way they set up. So it was more about who was going to get the goal at the end of the day, who was going to get that first goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just founded off Firmino, and Klopp subs did make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Thiago gave us more control, and I think just the depth we had that Inter did not have was just cost them.
That's what Inti kept arguing last week. It was just like Liverpool's depth is just so crazy, and like if we wanted he thought it was gonna be a tough game that maybe Inter could scratch something out, but it was just like no, Liverpool was just too deep for them. And I thought Inter was going to score at any moment, any given moment they could score.
I thought both teams. Honestly, Salah, the power front three, Salah, who started? Salah, Jota, and Mane, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't their best days, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Firmino did help us a lot because he gives us that control. Very unfortunate that Jota got injured though, and then Firmino right after the game. But Diaz looks really good for us, so there's a lot of, and definitely Keita and Thiago made a huge impact in the game.
I think Diaz is a fantastic signing for
I
Liverpool.
agree.
I think Jota's really been putting up numbers, especially while Salah and Mane were gone, and that was like a huge deal for Liverpool, getting like goals from him and having him really step up to the point where he's kind of could put out Mane out of his position or put Firmino out of his position. He's really kind of solidifying a starting spot, and then to have Luis Diaz, who's coming in, who's also a player who's going to be kind of pushing for a spot in the team as well. It's really going to create like a really competitive and like aggressive atmosphere in those front three. I think that's really good for goal scoring, and especially because the level of like Salah and Mane is so high already that having backup players who are pushing them and would be starting in any other
Firmino.
team. Yeah, even Firmino is also an incredible player. And for him to be getting pushed out of this team, it shows really like the impressive.
No, right, 100%.
Minamino can't even get.
We have Minamino.
Origi is still somewhere.
Yeah, but our depth is really good. I think that's what made the difference at the end of the day. Our depth is much better than what it used to be a few years ago, and it also shows that we're a very mature team and we know how to win games, even if it's tight or even if Inter play even the other team plays very well, has a good game, and it seems very hard for us to get the win, but we found a way through two set pieces at the end of the day. And I think Inti was saying that Inter had the best set pieces, but we forgot to say in our last pod that we're really good in set pieces. I think we're like the best in the Premier League on set pieces.
Even without Van Dijk scoring his usual amount of goals.
Yeah, but even now he's starting to score, so it was a good win. And then we had the other two games. Norwich didn't look. We went 1-0 down in the beginning.
Scary.
It was scary, but we found a way to win. I don't know how we weren't taking the lead by halftime. Like we destroyed Norwich. Like everyone destroys Norwich at this point.
Yeah,
it's nothing surprising. In Leeds, everyone destroys Leeds at the moment. We destroyed Leeds.
Yeah,
we should have had 12 goals between the two games.
Honestly, we should have.
I think Leeds is a team that will put up a good fight, but as soon as you score one goal, they're done for the rest of the game. Like they can't come back into a game.
Except against United.
Yeah, except against United, like a fragile team like United, but like a team like Liverpool, who I was going to mention too. as long as, like you were saying, like you're super mature and like whatever, you have like lots of experience. I think that's so key, is that all of the players in your team are accustomed to playing with each other, and in the system they play, they all know what the other person's gonna do. So like you could even see in the Leeds game where Matip constantly makes those runs up the middle and passes it out, and it never really works.
By the way,
out.
that was the best goal of the season.
Oh, that was
I don't
incredible.
care. I don't care. That was the best goal of the season. Like
So
every time Matip makes these runs, you're like, when is he finally gonna score? And honestly, and to be honest, Leeds is the perfect game for this because like they're a man marking team.
Right.
So like you, in order to beat like such a weird team, you need someone like Matip to make those runs.
And he made the run, and Struijk just didn't even look over his shoulder and just kind of stood there and kind of jogged
because they're
over.
man marking their own guys,
He
right?
wasn't even paying attention to Matip. Didn't think, and to be fair, the finish was incredible. Like, I wish a Chelsea player would finish like that. Really, like it's unbelievable. Like,
Where their finishes like that.
Oh my god! If Timo could finish like that, it'd be incredible.
Yeah. Even like you're saying, the seniority and how it just all went together. Even like Thiago's only been on the team for like a year, and he feels like he's just blends in perfectly to that style of play, of just knowing what the other player is gonna do.
Yeah.
Just out of just conscious, like you're not even like the forwards can be running one way and they know where the defenders are at, where their line is at behind them.
He's such an experienced player. I think even if he's not kind of if he doesn't understand the players yet, which I think he has at this point, but even before he could kind of get to know the other players on the team, he has the skill to be able to play passes and do things that they'll recognize, and that just it
molds instantly.
Yeah, it just works really well and just meshes really well.
And that's just from the scouting from Klopp being able to pick. He knows when those Diaz he has a good speak of just finding good players that can mold well.
No, it's brilliant. But what was I was gonna mention something, but even like you have Diaz as well. Like the guy just came in and he seems like he's been playing for us for many years already. That's the level we've been playing at.
Is he the only Spanish speaker on the team?
He's Portuguese.
No, that's
He's
Colombian.
Colombian.
Oh yeah, he's
But he came from Portugal.
yeah, my bad. Spanish, but like I think a lot of like Jota speaks Spanish
He must,
as well. Thiago, so there are Spanish
Thiago
speakers,
speaks
yeah.
Spanish.
So we do have Spanish speakers, even.
That is an interesting thing. I'll point out, like, it's very impressive the way that Diaz has kind of come like rushing through the gates and like is doing so well at the moment. Because I think a lot of I've noticed a lot of players at Chelsea, especially our new signings the last 2 years, have performed really poorly at the beginning, and I think I'd attribute a lot of that not only to like their form, but a lot of their
Adjustments to the team, the league, right?
But also the language barrier. Like you saw, I think when Frank Lampard first came in and Edouard Mendy and Thiago Silva were like the new members of our defense, he paired them with Kurt Zuma because Thiago Silva didn't speak any English. He only spoke French and Portuguese, and Edouard Mendy only spoke French, didn't speak much English. So the three of them could kind of communicate, and they'd be able to understand.
Yeah.
You know, I'm taking up this position, rather than you saw with when Saul came in.
Yeah.
Saul Niguez played terribly for his first, however, 6 or 7 games. Was always taken off at halftime. Never could get anything right, and you could always see if you watched the positioning. He'd always be in the wrong position or pass to the wrong person, and you could see people yelling at him. But I'm pretty sure a lot of that was due to the fact that he just wasn't understanding what other people were telling him to do. And then you saw, as soon as he's had a really good couple of games when he's been given the chance in like FA Cup games or Carabao Cup games, and it's always when he's paired up on the side with Marcos Alonso or with Azpilicueta and other Spanish-speaking players that he ends up shining and playing really well and taking up the right positions and making the right passes and knowing where his national team players are going to be, or teammates are going to be. And I think that's really surprising about Diaz, is that he's just been able to kind of immediately fit into the system and kind of not even need to know English that well. To kind of communicate with the other.
I mean, to be honest, it is much easier for like I think a forward to get used to this like a system than a defender or like someone very integral like a Fabinho. Fabinho did struggle initially to get him shooted, and Klopp does a very good job in getting players suited, making sure they play to make them play when he knows that they're well suited to the team. Like he was very patient with Fabinho, for example. Like I think he didn't really get any games until December. Like he wasn't starting. Like initially, I think we played a 4-2-3-1 because we wanted to make sure he has another guy with him to get used to the position. So but now Fabinho is like You can drop him
Fabinho's
anymore.
been amazing for you guys. He's been incredible.
Yeah.
It really makes me, as a fan of Brazil as a national team, it makes me excited for the World Cup. Because you have players like him who are really who would never really be considered for the national team normally, but he's been playing so well that it's really, he's really, it looks really promising.
Also, yeah, we're watching in the.
Well, by the way, we're watching the City game right now. It's right now, like, what time is it? Probably like one. They just started at halftime, so probably like 1:33 or something like that.
49th minute.
Yeah, 49th
Everything's
minute.
looking good.
0-0. Hope we have some hope. Right now, I mean, let's actually get into this because we didn't really get into it before. City Tottenham.
Yeah.
What game that was.
That was an incredible game.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at that game, City just never got into the game the way that they should have been. They never wanted it as much as Tottenham, it didn't seem, which is really interesting when you look at Antonio Conte's performances with Tottenham, especially now that he's gotten the signings of Kulusevski and Betancourt. He's kind of building something that he wants to build, but it's also clear, as you saw.
Come on, the Wobie. Sorry. Corner. Okay. Keep going.
As you see, like in his following game with Burnley, the team just can't perform to the level he wants. But I this is something I notice also with a lot of teams in the Prem is that a lot of like the top 6, let's say, they all perform really well against other teams, other difficult teams because they practice. I assume they just train harder for those games and have higher expectations for those games. And then you see teams like Tottenham just lose 1-0 to Burnley, and you kind of wonder like, how could they put away City, this dominant City team, and then not be able to like get anything past Burnley?
But I mean, Spurs always play well against City. They beat them twice, didn't they? So it's kind of incredible. But Conte is really good at setting up teams in these type of games. The way they're able to counterattack very effectively. And you know what? The thing is with City, once they're 1-0 down in the game, they are not very good at clawing back, right? Maybe they get a point at max. The one time I think they were down in the Premier League 5 times, right? They were down 5 times by a goal, and they only won one of those games, and that was like one of the most corrupt games in the Premier League for a while, the Arsenal game. So, and they got very lucky in that game. So besides that, they're not very good at coming back from 1-0 down and winning a game. So like once City are losing, there's hope, right? It's more likely or not City do not win the game. Based on
I think it's
because
Liverpool is a scarier team to be down.
But that's because City's game plan is based more cities is based here's Foden. City's game plan is basically focused on controlling the game. That's what they want to do. And like all their players, like right now their front three, I think it's the same front three as the Spurs one. Bernardo Silva, Sterling, and who's the other one? Who's Sterling and Foden? Yeah, they're all midfielders. They're not strikers. So like they don't have that striker who they wanted with Kane. So basically they're playing with 6 midfielders in this game. And that's good for them to get control of the game, which is what Pep wants. But when you're up 1-0, you don't really care if they're controlling the game.
Yeah. No, it is interesting to see like the way that City play. They really kind of try to just dominate from the start, and they had such a poor start to the season in the Prem this year.
Yeah.
Where you thought that they went down, whatever.
But that was mostly because of the Euros, right? They lost to Spurs because of the.
But it's interesting that you see them always do this push in the middle of the season, where in the middle of the season they just win game after game after game, and they go consecutively, and it kind of gives them that gap at the top of the table where then now they're starting to slip up.
We did that one season. Season we won. We did the same thing.
Yeah, we did. But we held on.
Yeah.
But I agree with you in the fact that teams like City don't really have they prefer to dominate games. They don't sit back and wait and then try to win it at the last minute. They really go for it and try to kind of control every part of the game and kind of play the way they want to play and not do any counterattacking or any.
I think in contrast, Tottenham is the team that does sit back and then wins at the last minute because that's what they're built like. You know what I mean? I feel like those players love that last minute like game.
It was a perfect Antonio Conte win where you just kind of hold on. You're just kind of keeping in there, and you score a goal, you concede a goal.
That was a crazy game.
So unfortunate to concede that penalty in practically the last minute of the full 90. But
I was fine with the point.
A point would have been a great result for Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
But I mean, 3 is even better.
Yeah.
Or 0.
I love how you say no, not Chelsea fans. You're not very in it.
Oh, we're so gone.
But
I mean,
it's very funny how Spurs beat Man City and they can't beat anyone else at the moment. It's so Spursy. It's very Spursy. And Conte was throwing his towels. I mean, they beat Leeds. I mean, of course they beat Leeds, right? That's the point. The new guy they got, Kulusevski, looks really good.
Kulusevski's so good. He's so impressed me. So I didn't think everyone who was, or at least most Juventus fans that I know, said that he was dead weight at the team, and that he wasn't really. They didn't want to keep him anyway. But he's shown to be so good at running down the wings, and in Conte's system at least, where he needs people just running.
But the thing with Conte's system, Conte usually gets the best out of these type of players.
Exactly.
Like we saw Victor Moses, for example, at Chelsea.
Same exact thing.
Yeah, but even against Burnley, to be honest, Burnley are like, I feel like they stepped it up lately with themselves, and when Burnley are at their best, a very hard game to play at. In fairness to Spurs, right? I watched the highlights.
That's true.
Not the whole game, but Spurs did have chances. I was busy during the Leeds game when Spurs were playing, but Spurs did have chances. I can't say they didn't have chances. Just Burnley are very hard. They're very good aerially, and they scored off a corner. Ben Mee.
And Burnley really need it too. They've been playing pretty poorly this season, and it's kind of where.
But they're really on form now.
They're in that, but they need to be.
This is the toughest nails team when they're just in such a. Like
even us, we struggled against Burnley. We got one kind of. I think it was like a lucky. I don't remember exactly, but it was a very lucky win. But we got the job done. But. Yeah, this game is Everton City. So far, Everton are really giving a good fight.
I think Everton's a very similar team to, not in the way that they play, but in their situation currently, to Burnley, where they're way lower in the table than they normally are. Right? I don't know about Burnley being lower in the table than normal, but they're in a position where
Pickford.
Pickford's really keeping them in this game.
I think this is the first shot they had so far.
Yeah, that was the best one for sure.
And Pickford again. Oh, that was not that hard to say, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that was pretty simple.
Yeah, but Everton have been good for them. Lampard usually went for a 4-4-2 usually with Van de Beek and Allen. Now he went 4-3-3 or 4-5-1 against City.
I want to hear what you guys think about the Everton under Frank, because they were, Rafa wasn't doing anything. Benitez was not getting.
I thought Benitez got lucky with the injuries though. Like he got a lot of injuries, and
that's true.
In fairness, but the thing is with Benitez, what went against him, I think ultimately, is that the fans were against him from the start, and once the results were going to get bad, regardless of injuries or not, no one is going to be sympathetic to Benitez, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened, because I don't think Benitez did a poor job. I think he had a very hard job with not a lot of money to spend. A lot of injuries, because they had Carol Lewin injured a lot. I think I guess he's still injured because he's not starting. I'm not sure. They had Richarlison injured a lot of the season. And Richarlison is a huge player for them, so there are a lot of, I guess, injury problems for Everton, and they're sorry, but they had. But they had so many managers, Everton, so far, and they have a group of players with different managers with different styles, all different with different styles of play, from Ancelotti, Marco Silva, Koeman, and now with Benitez, and now they went from Benitez to Lampard.
It's interesting being here as a.
They went from a more defensive coach to a team who wants to play attacking football.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they picked Lampard because they know that the system that they've been even if you go up into the ownership of Everton, it's all really poor. They've made terrible signs. They've spent so much money. If you look at the amount of money that they've spent, it's up there with all of the big six teams. They've spent so much money, and there's nothing to show for it. They've been very wasteful. They haven't been winning any trophies or getting close to winning trophies. Getting into Europe barely. If they have even, I can't even recall in the last 10 years. And it's a team that I think we're looking for a youthful, positive project, and getting in a manager who's gonna kind of do well like Rafa, but only do it by playing kind of a like mediocre type of football. And I can't really say, to be honest, that I've watched much of Everton under Rafa, but I've been I'm pretty excited about this project under Frank, because I think that he's kind of a young manager who has a lot to show about his managerial skills, especially after his small stints at Derby.
So yeah.
So
How confident are you for the Chelsea Liverpool game?
To be honest, I don't feel that confident. I don't think we've been playing extremely well. We've had a couple. We haven't been dominating games the way we used to, and that's a big part because of Reece James and Ben Chilwell being out. Having difficulty keeping a front three. I think it's amazing. Like I've been watching the games. We haven't seen Timo play at all or start a game in so long, and I think that kind of it's a frustrating part of and the beggars can't be. It's a good problem to have, not to have too many players that we rotate up front, but at the same time we constantly have this problem of never having a consistent front three, because no one can perform well, and so if no one gets 2 or 3 games in a row, they clearly won't build. Like if you perform poorly, you're probably not going to get selected for the next game unless you do well in training, and then the other guy performs poorly too. So then we constantly are stuck in this cycle of never having a consistent front three.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
I think that's our biggest concern for this match, is that we don't really know. I think if you look at like the man for man, you'd want to have Lukaku up front because he's going to be filling up space for like against Virgil. Like Van Dijk is going to be concerned with Lukaku taking up space, whatever. So he's an important person to have in that position. And then you want to have someone like Pulisic or Mount or someone who's kind of good with the ball at their feet and can hitting crosses on the left. And also, I think Pulisic would be good because he could kind of get past Trent. Like Trent's defensive weakness would be a good thing for Pulisic, who's good at dribbling around a player and running down the flank really quickly.
100%. But I mean, again, the thing with Pulisic and Ziyech, like they're people you want you need to give the ball to their feet in order for them to do magic.
Right.
They're fast, but I think the thing especially against our high line, you need an outlet to go in behind, and that's basically Lukaku and Werner.
No, exactly. That's why I think that's the difficulty is you play a very high line and you have these big players, and so someone like Timo who could quickly slip behind and get through would be really useful in this type of game. But then again, do you pick Lukaku, who's going to hold up Van Dijk, or do you pick Timo, who's going to slip in behind? Timo hasn't been playing much recently. Then again, Lukaku hasn't been playing well either.
That's interesting. It'll be very interesting. But by the way, the City game ended. City won a bullshit game, 1-0. Should have been a penalty for Everton. Just bullshit. And by the way, we have also breaking news. Abramovich, I guess he is giving up his ownership at Chelsea, and he's transferring his power to Chelsea's charitable foundation. This kind of came out of nowhere. I'm not out of nowhere, but I didn't expect this to happen.
I didn't expect this to happen
with the whole Ukraine situation,
especially directly before a massive final for the club. I think this is very. This changes the game entirely tomorrow, because as a Chelsea team, if you're training and you're preparing for this final, your mind's going to be totally off the mark thinking about the fact that your owner has just handed over the stewardship of your club.
I just don't get what this means though. To a foundation, what does that do?
Well, I think the issue is this came up in 2019 where a British MP complained that they complained that Abramovich was too closely connected to the Russian government, and they thought that he shouldn't be allowed to own a football club in Britain. nothing really came of that. Like, he kind of denounced his connections to Putin or to the Russian government, and kind of made it very clear that he wasn't at all associated with them, or they weren't kind of in cahoots, whatever. So nothing really came of that in the end, but you can see now, I think they've brought up more concern as having like a Russian billionaire who's very closely connected, evidently would be closely connected to the government as one of the richest people, especially one of the richest foreign people in the UK. There's a lot of pressure on him to not own like this massive entity, and after 19 years of being the owner of this club, he's kind of been forced now to hand down his stewardship of the club. Which, if I was a player, my mind would be all over the place. I wouldn't be focused on the final anymore. I'd be saying, "Oh my God, like my job is on the line." Especially because Chelsea owes, I think it's $2 billion. They're in $2 billion of debt to Abramovich. So what happens to the club now? They need to be bought out by some private equity company or something. If he can't be the face or like the owner of it. I don't know. I think this is
there's an opportunity for new owners.
Yeah.
So,
but I think this is just a safe way of protecting the club before we go into this big match tomorrow by saying it'll still be in the hands of this foundation, but it can't last there very long. I think eventually, like very sooner or later, or sooner, it's gonna have to be resolved in some way. Either Abramovich takes over again, but more likely someone else.
I mean, the good news for Chelsea that in this situation, they're in a very stable situation, I would say, relative to that.
Yeah,
I think Tuchel was a guy who I think Chelsea could trust on to stay for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that stability is good. You're still comfortably in the top four. Very well in the Champions League. If you lose the Carabao Cup, it's the Carabao Cup, right? It's like you have to honestly just.
We're in a very good position where we have so many players on loan and we have so many players in our starting squad that it's not like we're some like low-level team where if we need to sell players or something happens financially and we can't sustain what we have at the club at the moment.
Yeah.
It won't affect us that massively. Like you can get rid of Ross Barkley or Saul Miguez, who's massively overpaid, and even players who you expect to leave at the end of the season, like Timo Werner or talks of Pulisic or Andreas Christensen's leaving. Rudiger's. I mean, now it's that just occurred to me. Rudiger's been asking for over $200K.
No, Rudiger's not staying. I think even with Abramovich,
especially with this, he's not staying anymore. So
where would he go?
Apparently, United really want him.
United want him.
United want him. Real Madrid really want him.
Yeah.
I would be down to swap him for Eder Militao at Real Madrid. I would be totally comfortable doing that. I think Eder Militao is
very
younger. Rudiger's never really stood out to me as in love with the club, whereas I feel like Eder Militao could really fall in love with him. And also partner with Thiago Silva for another season. He would learn a lot, be beneficial for him.
That news is massive, though.
This Abramovich news is really tough for this game tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really.
I think the game is still very interesting in many ways.
No, yeah.
There's a lot of interesting.
Even outside of the game, there's so many important factors, like Tuchel and Klopp both being these like relatively similar in their trajectory to Premier League teams, like German managers who kind of have that relationship of the two of them, and then you have there's just kind of a lot of similarities between the two clubs, and I think it makes for a really good match tomorrow.
But how much do you think these players look at stuff like this with Abramovich or like?
I think it's super important. I mean, he pays their salaries.
Yeah.
He's a massive reason that everyone gets to play.
Listen, I mean, at the same time, they do have a cup final to play. It's a big. They want to win every cup you can, right?
Yeah.
So I still think
they have to really focus, but it is going to be something in the back of their mind.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas the Liverpool players aren't going to be concerned about that at all.
Yeah.
They're not going to have. I mean, of course, I think everyone at this moment in time is kind of worried or upset
with the whole situation.
In Ukraine, exactly. Like, there's no, you can't just say it's not affecting me. There's so many players in the league. Like you see Zinchenko today.
The really other guy, Milenko.
For Everton, it's kind of it's a big deal. It can't be ignored, and it's I think you'll see a greater effect in. I don't know. I think if anything, it means that if Chelsea win tomorrow, it'll be a really good sign for the club.
No, I think
It makes it even more important for us to win this game now that.
Well, it's that.
Yeah.
We'll like step aside
Yeah.
for now.
That's interesting, but I mean, let's kind of we talked about the front three. We talked about that for Chelsea. We talked about that. We talked about Liverpool already. Let's talk about the previous meetings we had with Liverpool and Chelsea, because we had a lot of close games. Where first game, the home game at Anfield, it was a very competitive game. You guys played very well. We had a few moments. Then the red card changed the game. Liverpool dominated, but Chelsea able to hold on.
Both games this season have been really fun to watch. They've been really good games. I really wish that red card hadn't been. I wish they'd given a penalty.
I think Liverpool wished that there was no red card. To be honest.
What do you mean? You didn't think it was worthy of a red card?
No, I mean I think Liverpool wished that Reece James didn't get sent off.
Yeah, because I mean it benefits Liverpool's way of playing.
Having line man.
As soon as
we had the same problem against Arsenal too.
We go a man down and then
park the bus.
Exactly, and then Liverpool doesn't have the space in behind, the space to run into positions because and especially with the back five.
See, with City would be able to break that down. Liverpool would not as much, but I don't know, how is that not handball?
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but what was I going to say? Even the 2-2 game, very good. It was a very competitive game. Even though Chelsea weren't in good form, we weren't in good form at the time either. Mm-hmm. But it was a very competitive. You would be offside anyway, but it was a very competitive.
Oh, he was.
Oh, that's why it wasn't, because he was offsides.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, but
how we know?
Yeah, no, it's not corrupt anymore. We're good. Very lucky win for City, regardless. By the way, against United, United are gonna get destroyed.
Oh yeah.
But regardless, where were we at? We were at the Chelsea. We were at the 2-2 game. Mm-hmm. Really good game. And the thing is, Chelsea do match up well with our teams, with our way of playing. Yeah. Because even though we have a numerical advantage in the midfield, usually you have the center forward and your three usually goes deeper in the press to make sure that Fabinho is marked, and then the Kante and Kovacic or whoever are basically marking our other two. And so it's going to be a game of tight margins, right?
I agree. I think what's interesting about the way that Tuchel's been managing the last month or two is that as he's been switching between a back four and a back five, he has the benefit of having trained people like Hudson-Odoi or Pulisic to play wing back. So now if he wants, he can start a back four, but he can kind of bring one of them to drop in. So throughout the game, he can kind of do a hybrid and switch between and have a player who's playing on the wing up front, switch in and play left wing back. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of advantages to that, I think, of where we can
100%.
We can switch the way that we're playing based, if Liverpool get really aggressive, we can kind of switch back into the five and have an extra defensive player, especially if Trent is bombing down the right side or is we're over, you're just overpowered on one side. We can kind of
then five in the back, it makes it the way Chelsea do play, it makes it easier because Liverpool love to switch the field and play vertically, but with Chelsea are very compact in that because they have an extra defender and they're able to cover that space. So
what interests me about this match from the Chelsea perspective is that I think Lukaku would be useful, Werner would be useful. Havertz has just proven to be our best out and out striker, but if we play five at the back, you have three attacking players, and you need to have. And at least we've been playing recently with just one through the middle and the other two kind of switching sides throughout the game. If we play a five at the back and let's say put Marcos Alonso at left wing back and Aspi at right wing back, assuming Reece James doesn't play, then you can't put a Lukaku and a Werner.
I think it's one.
That would be the most ideal situation, I think, is to have Lukaku taking up space and holding up Van Dijk, and then having Werner being able to run through and behind.
No, but Lukaku's not a hold-up player. He's more of a speed player, too.
Well, no, I agree, but I think that he can have that threat, so Van Dijk will be concerned about him, and then Matip is left to defend any run, or Matip or Robertson or Trent or left.
No, but I think you just need one of those type of players. More, I think Pulisic could do the.
Pulisic could do a similar thing, but that's why I think it would
Werner's more of an outlet than Pulisic, but I think you just need one outlet.
But I also just don't trust Werner to get it. Like, he can get in behind, but then he won't score the goal, which is what we need him to do.
Yeah, but at the same time, remember against City where Werner basically all he did was cause trouble, and then eventually led to space for Havertz. And I think that honestly, Werner hasn't really played a lot for you guys.
No,
for some reason.
I don't think Werner's gonna play.
It's probably Lukaku, if anything.
I think it'll be, if he plays like a double striker, it'll be Lukaku and Havertz. But I think if he does that, he needs to push one of the 5 in the back forward. Yeah. And then we need to have 3 in the midfield and do 4 at the back, and then possibly have like Lukaku and Havertz and then Mount as one. Like an.
Do you think Mount could start in this game?
I think.
Actually, get to your what do you think your lineup would be? What would your lineup be? Then we'll probably do ours after.
Even starting from the back, I think it's tough. I think Kepa's played really well in the cup so far, and he's been getting his form back. Like he's looking like he's better than a second, like a backup keeper at this point. I think he could be starting for a lot of Prem teams.
For sure.
You haven't seen it consistently enough. You've just seen it in cup games, but overall, I think that he's been performing well. So I'm going to go with Kepa, but I would not be surprised if Tuchel plays Mendy just because of the occasion.
I think personally, I think Kepa will probably start. But
I think Kepa will start. But Mendy's been on a good run. He came back.
Kepa's been very good lately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but this is even there. But I'll go Kepa. Yeah. I think then we'll play. I think we'll start at least with a 5 at the back of Thiago Silva in the middle, Rudiger on the left, and Christensen on the right.
Christensen.
I'd say Christensen plays, and then either
because there's a lot of choices between Christensen and then there's Chalobah and then there is Sarr.
Christensen, I think, played the game against Lille, and he looked really good. I was really happy with the way that he played. So I think that he'll start again just because he's kind of continuing on that form. I think Chalobah,
but that's not a guaranteed position, right?
No, absolutely not. I think I prefer to have Chalobah in that position because I think he's someone that we'll have for the future. And I'd like to see him kind of work into the squad and play with Thiago Silva while he still has the chance to. But I think Christensen will take that spot because he's kind of worked with that back line for the most amount of time. I think Aspi takes the right wing back role, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Malang Sarr on the left rather than Marcelo.
Really? Do you think Alonso will be dropped?
I think so. I just don't see Alonso as a attacking force. Alonso can't defend Mo Salah is my concern.
What do you think of Alonso? So what do you think of Alonso overall? Because he's very divisive among the Chelsea fans for many years.
Personally, I think he's been a good servant to us. I mean, if he wins this cup tomorrow, he's won every possible trophy that he could at Chelsea. So clearly he's had a pretty good career with us. But I just don't see him as a player that fits into our current system. He played a good wing. He can play a good wing back, but he plays a better attacking wing back, and the defensive parts, and especially against Mo Salah and Trent, I don't think he can handle both of them. I think you're going to really see Rudiger stepping up and defending that left-hand side and defending Salah way more than Alonso is. Alonso may be carried away taking care of Trent. I don't know. But that's
I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I can also see Malang Sarr playing that role because he's been playing left back. He can play the wing back if he needs to.
But is he very attacking? Probably
he's not attacking, but I think he's more aggressive. Alonso will be a better attacking player in that position. But
I think you guys will go for Alonso just because the attacking. Because I feel like your wing backs, you want an attacking wing back. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's because you already have Ansel Requeta. Probably going to start a right wing back, right? So I still you can't. If you do get started, basically, you're playing 5 in the back. But if you're playing at Alonso, this could be more of a 3 in the back.
I just like the idea of him playing Sarr so that he can do this kind of hybrid, like Sarr kind of drops back next to Rudiger if he needs to, and then that kind of complicates, like if Reece James plays and Aspi plays instead of Christensen at the right center back. Then Malang Sarr works, I guess. So I guess I'll agree with you. I think Marcos Alonso will play over Malang Sarr. But again,
it's an interesting discussion.
And then I see
Kovacic is back, right?
If we
So,
play our normal system, I see Kovacic and N'Golo Kante in the middle.
yeah.
That's just our best midfield pairing.
But
Although
Kovacic is not. He was injured. He came off
Kovacic
injured, but not.
played
But he
against
came
Leo,
back.
Came off injured. He's
Back in
apparently
training, so
but
it's fine.
I may Jorginho got rested that game, so I wouldn't be surprised if Jorginho comes on.
Yeah.
But I also see Jorginho as the type of player who gets overrun by Thiago and Henderson and
Yeah.
Fabinho. Like he can't really. I see them all as much stronger midfield players.
For sure.
So I think I would much prefer Kovacic to play. He may.
Yeah.
I mean, either way.
I think
unless-
Kovacic.
I'd rather Kovacic
Yeah.
too if I was you, but
I out of the two, I'd pick Kovacic, but I think also Kovacic also he often takes Kovacic off the bench, and he brings him on, and because maybe N'Golo gets injured, maybe Jorginho.
yeah.
gets
Does
injured,
Loftus
something
Cheek have a
happens.
chance to play because he came on against Lille?
He would definitely come on later. I don't think he would start, but I definitely think he has a chance to play.
What do you think of him? Because he's been in Chelsea for a while.
He used to be. He was this very promising young player.
Yeah.
And then he had this terrible injury, and now that he's come back, he's been really positive for us in being able to pick up the ball and dribble past defenders
Yeah.
and kind of make up ground the same way that N'Golo Kante's been doing so.
Yeah.
And you saw in our goal against Leo, the Pulisic
Yeah.
goal, where it's just Thiago Silva passes to Kante and he runs, I don't know,
Yeah.
40, 50
That's what
yards.
Loftus Cheek usually does.
So
But
yeah, exactly.
But I hear from Chelsea fans that they say that the problem with him is that he doesn't release the ball quick enough.
That's true.
Which is
He's
concern of him.
overly confident in his dribbling ability, and that works out most of the time if he can kind of get the ball and pass
Mm-hmm.
it. But he should pass quicker because a run will be missed or there'll be space that gets closed down
Mhm.
when he would have had the opportunity to make a pass.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's his. Like, I think I appreciate him as a dribbling player who can run
Yeah.
through the midfield and get us into a forward position.
Fair enough, yeah.
I
But
think,
he's definitely someone coming off the bench. if
yeah,
anything,
no,
right?
for sure. And
But
then I think front three.
that's the big debate.
I just don't think Lukaku. I think Lukaku comes off the bench.
Mm.
I think Lukaku comes
So
off
you
the
think
bench.
you think the same front three as the Lille game, or does Mount come in?
I think Mount plays for Pulisic. I think Ziyech
Really?
is in really good form. Ziyech is important.
I
he
think
play-
I think Pulisic will play just because he does well against us.
No, but I also think that he's the type of weapon that comes off the bench when maybe Trent's a little tired.
Oh, maybe. That's fair enough.
I think Pulisic is very dangerous.
I'm
But-
worried about Pulisic just because.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah,
honest.
exactly.
Even Werner, I'd be worried if Werner starts because I remember the game where you beat us 1-0. I mean, obviously, yes, we had the center backs.
Yeah.
But Werner was causing us a lot of trouble even without scoring. Like he gets into those spaces, makes those runs,
Right.
takes advantage of exploits our offside trap.
Mhm.
So
I just think Mount is our most consistent player. Like
Oh, for
anytime
sure.
we put Mount on the pitch, he does a job.
yeah, for
He's
sure.
not only an attacking force, but he always
Yeah.
kind of puts up us like scraps with anyone. I think he's the type of player who could, same way that Pulisic could hurt Havertz.
No,
Or not Havertz, could hurt Trent. And that's why I feel like Mount's gonna play. And I think also if Mount plays, at some point, if Reece James comes on, maybe he switches that.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's more chemistry there. I think it's beneficial.
There's a lot of stuff to discuss with Chelsea.
We have too many
Too many
players
issues.
who
And,
aren't good enough to play, but that means that someone has to play, so it ends up.
yeah, but let's get into our lineup. It's probably a lot easier than yours, to be honest. I guess that highlights everything.
Kelleher
What-
starting though.
Kelleher starts.
Kelleher
Kelleher has been really good for us in the Carabao Cup,
Yeah.
and he has been good in big games,
He's
like
really-
the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge.
He's really
Remember
impressive.
the Pulisic?
He's Northern Irish, right? What's he Northern Irish? Northern Irish?
Yeah, he's Irish.
Irish or Northern Irish?
I think he's Irish.
I think he's Irish.
Yeah, but like I remember when Chelsea were through on goal
Mhm.
in like the opening 5 minutes. Kelleher saved it. We scored right after.
Yeah.
Like the big game, he comes up and he plays really well. It's very impressive.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting to see him in goal. This is the biggest game of his career, and more bigger than even the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge.
Mhm.
So yeah, can't wait for that. He played in the Champions League. He has a lot of experience, some experience in big games. So very excited to see him play.
Yeah.
Then we'll have. Then the question is, I think Van Dijk plays. Then the question is Konate gonna play or is Matip gonna play? Remember I said Kanate was going to play against Inter? I
Yeah,
got that right because I got that right mostly because Inter had Dzeko and they're going to try to go over and try to get it to their target man and yeah, I think Kanate is very good aerially. Mm-hmm. He's very good in the air. Like he had very good games at Stamford Bridge, very good game at Old Trafford, but I think Kanate started at Stamford Bridge because Matip got COVID, right? If I recall correctly.
That sounds right.
So I think Matip does start because I don't think there's not Kanate starts when there's ever like a Ronaldo who's good in the air. I don't Chelsea have that many good aerial threats, so I think Matip does start.
I think unless we play Lukaku, you're gonna have every set piece on lock.
Yeah.
If we really don't have anyone.
Bro, how did this is the Leeds Tottenham game. I don't know how the fuck this guy missed.
Oh my.
But yeah, I think Matip does start.
Matchup starts. I would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
I think he's just more experienced.
Even though I do like Kanate a lot as well, but Robertson starts. Do I need to explain that? No. Trent starts. Do I need to explain that? No. But
Fabinho starts. No.
Fabinho starts.
Absolutely.
Thiago starts.
Thiago needs to start because even like against you guys in the 2-2 game, the problem was we had Henderson and Milner. Henderson hasn't been as good as they usually are, but the thing is that we lost a technical midfield battle. Chelsea were better technically than we were. In Milner and Henderson weren't cutting it in our game. We needed someone like Thiago, or because the problem was with Thiago is that he gets injured so many times, and the thing is I think Thiago's our right now the replacement, a player who can control the game and do defend pretty well, control the game, control all aspects of the game for us. And the problem with Thiago is that he gets injured a lot, and it makes it very difficult because we have Henderson hasn't really been at his best. Then we have and we ended up playing Milner in the game, and Milner's very good. I like Milner a lot, but I think the problem was Henderson and Milner are very similar players, and what they like to do, they like to make runs. And against Chelsea, for example, what happened is that Henderson was making runs on the right side, and Milner was making runs, and that made our midfield be wide open. And that was a huge problem.
I was really impressed by Milner in that match because every time Conte got the ball, Milner closed him down.
Milner does do stuff like that.
He was like really impressive, but I agree with you in the sense that like he and playing both Milner and Henderson didn't help you at all in that match because you lost they were very too similar in that match to kind of playing the same role. But I don't know. So you think Thiago, Fabinho, and Henderson?
Yeah. Henderson, I think will start just because I think Dylan agrees. Like just because he's the captain, even though he hasn't been at his best. We also have options like. Okay, no worries. But yeah, we were saying Henderson starts, right, Dylan?
Henderson starts. Yeah.
We have a lot of options like Kieta, Harvey, who's been brilliant. Curtis Jones. Oh yeah, we have a lot of. We had no injuries until Jota and Firmino. It's unfortunate, but nevertheless, yeah, I think Henderson just started ahead of Kieta and all our other great midfield options at the moment. But I mean, Ox won't start, I think. But yeah, that's and then the front three explains itself: Mane, Diaz, and Salah.
You think Diaz starts?
Diaz starts.
I don't think we have any other option, to be honest. And Mane has been starting in the false nine in the past few games.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see if Mane starts, or is it going to be Salah starting in the number 9? Right. But I think it's Mane because I think that's what we've been playing with, and Salah's on form in the right wing. Yeah. So you don't take him off. No chance. Where he is. But yeah, I think that's basically that's the lineup. What's your score predictions?
1-1 penalties.
1-1 penalties.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Liverpool win on penalties.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, not with Kepa in goal. Kepa's a beast at penalties.
Keller has been really good in penalties too. Like the Leicester game, he made 2 saves. Yeah. By the way, Dylan's just getting groceries, so he's gonna be back. But yeah, I'm gonna say 2-1 win for us in the 90.
I really want to say a Chelsea win, but something just tells me
Not confident.
I'm confident in our defense, but I'm also very impressed by your offense. So I don't know how well I think it depends who plays in midfield. I think
United
they
should have
missed
won
so
this
many
game.
chances today.
Yeah.
I think if we play Jorginho, he makes a mistake and it leads to a goal for you.
They went to the wrong address.
Wow. The grocery
Does not
doesn't know what he's doing.
Yes. But what was saying, 1-1?
Yeah, he's trying to figure out what he's predicting. He doesn't know.
I guess I gotta go for Chelsea, so I guess I'll say a 1-0.
Ooh.
1-0.
It's gonna be a tight game.
I think the only way that we don't concede, if we concede one, we'll concede multiple, and I think the only way we don't concede is if Rudiger, Silva, and whoever else plays alongside Christensen go on full lockdown and just do not full focus. Don't let anything get past them.
Yeah.
I think Rudiger can do that on Salah. He can be pretty controlling, but I think I kind of expect us to concede, but to go for a Chelsea win, I'll say 1-0. Relatively late in the match. We haven't been scoring early at all recently, so I'll go late in the match. Maybe a Hakim Ziyech assist.
No, I think what this game will be is a very interesting game, and that will be very tight. And I think it's gonna be a tight game.
It's gonna be fun to watch for sure.
Very tight game, very hard to call, and I think it's gonna be very interesting. I'm looking forward for this.
I only hope that it doesn't either stay 0-0 for a long time. Something happen. I hope that it's not just no chances, super tense.
Yeah.
I hope that it's kind of free flowing.
Yeah.
Good, a good game to watch.
Listen, I don't care what game it is. I just want to win. That's the main thing.
I just hope we don't get a red card. A red card would dampen the game. So I hope that.
No, hope none of us.
Card,
I don't want the red card in the game.
But it just ruins the game. I want to, as much as I want to win the game. I want to win it in a good contesting match, not a red card for something stupid.
No, I agree 100%. Yeah, and it's very exciting. I think we kind of substantially talked a lot about Chelsea already. Let's talk about I wanted to talk about the other fixtures that are that have been playing, Man United, Watford. What happened? United had so many chances. I think we were just talking about just United. To be fair, United do have those games where they have a lot of chances, but they also have games where they get very lucky to even score. So I don't really have sympathy for United. I know I hate United, but I don't have sympathy in terms of a footballing way that United aren't scoring. There are a lot of games where United are lucky to even get a chance in the game.
I think it's amazing that they have such a great lineup. Their team, their squad, their lineup is so good. The players individually there are so impressive, and they have such quality. Yet they can't get simple wins. They can't put away chances. I think it really goes down to the players not performing and the manager not getting the best out of his players.
I don't think Ragnick is a very good coach. I'm not very impressed with even what the formations he does, the desperation. He gets so desperate and plays. He goes all out attack. We saw the highlights, for example, right? We saw these highlights. United wouldn't control it. It was when are they going to score? Then when Ragnick is 0-0, 70th minute, the guy just panics and goes all out. And how many chances did United get after the 70th minute, according to the highlights? I didn't see anything. The only thing they had was Bruno's long shot.
Yeah.
And United need a proper manager needs to believe in his system and needs to be able to continue controlling the game. And if you don't win, fair enough. But if you keep going all out attack, that shows that you're not having faith in your own system. In my opinion,
you saw it in the Champions League game against Villarreal, where Villarreal dominated. It was so unfortunate that Man United drew that game because they got
You mean Atletico Madrid? You mean? I think you talked about London, yeah.
Right. Oh, I'm thinking the Juventus game. No. Yeah, apologies.
Yeah, no worries.
They just weren't in control at all, and then
Yeah.
they got a lucky Alenga goal at the end. And it seems like, at least I don't follow United that closely, but it seems like Alenga keeps
Alenga's very
saving them a lot of times. Where like a lucky goal at the end of the match, where as you say, they just throw in offensive players. And
The thing is, Alenga is very young and hungry.
Yeah.
And he presses very well. Like he does what the others aren't doing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Rangnick was supposed to be this pressing coach, and they just go in 4-5-1 formation. Basically, Ronaldo's the only one up front pressing, which is like, I guess,
and he doesn't
pressing.
press.
And then basically whether they have Rashford in the left wing or right wing or Sancho, they just mark the fullbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But what usually is supposed to happen, which happened once for United against Brighton, which is what changed the game. I don't know why they don't do this more. They don't press more often. What they have usually is, Elanga or like the right wings, left wings going into the center backs, the fullbacks pressing the fullbacks, and I'm expecting Rangnick to press.
Right.
And I'm not seeing that with United at all. It's just very.
Oh, thank you so much.
And there's the grocery man is here. It's incredible. But yeah, United. I'm not very impressed with United.
Also, can we just mention Christian Eriksen playing his first game
Yeah.
since his
It's very good
cardiac
to see.
arrest, you know?
Very good to see Eriksen finally is back.
But mentioning Brentford, they
got hammered. Did you see the stats?
Yeah, but it looks like they're going to get relegated. They haven't
What?
won a game in 10, 11 games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They're just continuously getting defeated and
No, it's
not being able to win games or score goals, and it's sad. The first half of the season they looked so impressive.
No, but I think they're not in the relegation yet. So
I see it because you look at the teams that are like Newcastle, Everton. They kind of have these built, and I don't know about Everton exactly, but like Newcastle signed all these players, spent $100 million in the January transfer window, and now they're winning games.
but I know.
Same with
Burnley are also stepping up,
Yeah.
but Sean Dyche is a very good manager.
that's true.
I think he's one of the best managers in the league, to be honest.
Who?
What
He's
Sean
very
Dyche,
underrated.
the Burnley coach.
Oh, very good, yeah.
What he's done with Burnley, and they're also a pressing team in their own way. They're a very aggressive pressing team, but obviously they're very limited with the players they have. But Sean Dyche is able to really get the best out of his players, and yeah, I think he's a very good coach and very exciting. And hopefully, I hope Burnley stay up because I do like Sean Dyche a lot as a manager. And Burnley's always a very tough place to go to. It's just a good thing, in my opinion. So I think they will stay up, to be honest. But also Leeds are struggling. I think they may go.
Will Everton stay up?
Yeah, Everton played well today. So let's see what
I think
Lampard
they will.
continues
Yeah,
doing.
if you look at like the stats today, they really gave City a good game.
Right now, I'm not very impressed with Lampard, but let's see what this game was very good from Lampard. They're very unlucky not to win the game.
The only reason they lost that game is because they made
A dumb mistake.
a really bad mistake.
That's
before
a
the
typical
goal,
Everton mistake.
Where
And they got unlucky with an offside call.
Yeah.
again.
But that's. That's basically that. But yeah, I think But Leeds, I think they may sign Bielsa. I think they said so.
Yeah,
Very
I think he
interesting.
doesn't
Jesse
wanna
Martz
stay.
would be very nice to see Jesse Martz being the Leeds coach.
You think he'd go to Leeds?
That's what the rumors suggesting. So very interesting. I wanted to see that happen.
Even if Leeds get relegated.
Yeah, listen, it's good to have an American coach in the Premier League. So it doesn't matter how or yeah. But Gerrard won against Brighton today. Very good result. Very tough game to go away against Brighton, especially after Villa's disappointing result against. Who was their disappointing result against? Fuck, I forgot. Oh, Watford. Yeah, they were very disappointing against Watford, and they recovered. They got a big. Well, Coutinho almost scored that. A typical Coutinho free kick. But yeah, we'll see where they finish. But
now here's a point, because in this match against Brighton, Matty Cash not to get political or anything.
Yeah.
Matty Cash takes off his shirt
Yeah.
and lifts up his
Ukraine thing.
thing
Oh, so
and shows a message for supporting.
Yeah, do you think he got a
family
yellow
members
card?
of Ukraine, and he gets a yellow card for
He
it.
did?
Yeah, he did.
Okay,
Do you
so
think
Wow.
do you think that's right, or do you think that they should kind of give?
no,
him,
I think they should definitely have exceptions for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's doing something that's like, the like taking off your shirt rule in a celebration is fine, but then again, it's not like it was a last minute celebration, like whatever, yellow card him fine because he's like wasting time.
So you
doing
just
whatever.
show his undershirt.
He has an undershirt. He has something written on it. It's a message. It's an important message. If they take time at the beginning, the whole each match, they walk out and they at least took a moment of silence for people in Ukraine, wore Ukrainian flags. They made an effort to, and which was a very.
And they just give a yellow card.
And then they give a yellow card for one player who scores a goal, not usually scoring a goal, and lifts up his shirt and shows a message for family members or for someone close to him.
No,
not
it's
just
ridiculous.
not just like a broad message. Like
No,
it was something meaningful to him, and then he gets a yellow card, and which kind of jeopardizes the rest of his game. And he did it in the 10th minute or whatever.
Yeah,
I just think it doesn't make sense.
100%. I
to
definitely
give
agree.
someone a yellow
No, I
card.
agree 100%. But yeah, what are there other games midweek for? Not really, right? I think we already covered everything. We covered everything for the most part. So I think we'll probably end it there. So yeah.
That was a long episode to record.
Yeah, it was a very long. We had a bunch of problems, but I think your phone's been working. I need to fix my storage, to be honest. But yeah, I think that's it. Hopefully, I hope the Carabao Cup will be a good game. Hopefully, I'm very looking forward to it. So yeah, we'll see you all. So thank you for coming, Chris.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And Dylan, thanks as always.
I'm right here,
Yeah.
organizing my stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So yeah, we'll see you all next time.